What is going on, everybody, and welcome back once again. My name is Jordan, also known as JMonster. Thank you for joining me for another replay battle. Today, as promised, I have a 2 versus 3 siege battle, and this one is very, very long. I'm thinking it's probably about at least an hour and a half long. So get yourselves comfortable and situated, and then we can get into the army comps and into the replay itself. I hope you guys enjoy it. The first army we're going to be looking at today is one of the 2 attacking Isengard forces, this one being commanded by the Spartan. He's brought a unit of Uruk bombers, a very tricky unit to use. You always want to save these guys until after your enemy has run out of missiles, which potentially means that these guys will not be able to be used exactly when you want them for something decisive. But in a siege battle like this, where it is all about taking your time and outlasting your opponents, this is a solid pick to bring to the battle. He's also got 1 unit of Trolls of the White Hand that do exactly what you'd expect them to do, except for, strangely enough, they seem to be missing their weapons. I guess there's budget cuts in the Isengard forges or something. But in any case, despite the fact that they will be punching things for the rest of this battle, they are very, very strong, and they have better armor than, I think, just about any other Troll in the game. And for that reason, I tend to prefer them over the other variants of Troll. Moving on, we've got 1 unit of Nazgai Bodyguard, naturally, which is where the General is going to be hanging out. See him right there. He's also got some Nazgai, like a regular unit of the 2-handed Nazgai that's mixed in here as well, along with a unit of Berserkers, 2 units of Guards of the Orthanc. I think these are the non-2 HP versions. I don't know if the 2 HP version is still in the game, actually. I believe 3 or 4 units of Uruk-hai Pikes, 3 or 4 units of Uruk-hai Infantry, 2 units of Dunlending Clansmen, one of those will be pushing the ram, 1 unit of Catapults, and 3 units of Isengard Crossbows, the full complement, because that is what you do when you play Isengard. One of their biggest, I would say, one of their biggest strengths, it does come from their AP skirmishing lineup. The crossbows naturally lack a little bit of range over other bow units, but the Isengard crossbows are quite heavily armored, and the missile damage they do is very, very solid for what it costs to bring them. I think they only cost about 800 florins or something like that. But that should do it for the Isengard force. Let's move on to the second attacking army, that being the forces of the Woodland Realm, for some reason, because why not? So yeah, fair warning, not a lore-friendly battle, so if that bothers you, I would not recommend watching this. There's plenty of other lore-friendly ones on the channel that you can check out. But in any case, this Woodland Realm's forces being commanded by Bugs. He's got, I believe, 2 units of Hiri Lang, who are the heavy 2-handed sword infantry. A couple units of Hiri Dirith, which make up the Elven main line. He's got 2 units of the Hiri Beng, which was the bow variant of the Hiri Lang. He's also got 1 unit of Elder Council, who are very solid. Some of the best, actually the best javelin damage in the game. And they also double as decent medium spearmen after the fact. So a really versatile unit, definitely worth the cost that it costs to bring them. 1 unit of Elder Royal Guard, very, very good. These guys are part of the reason why the Woodland Realm skirmishing lineup is on top of the game in 0.91. These guys have multiple HP, really strong, non-armor piercing missile damage, but still very strong. They also have insane elven accuracy, and their AP in melee after the fact as well. So they're decent shock infantry once all has been said and done. Bugs is also bringing 1 unit of Elder Palace Guard, because that is what you do when you play Woodland Realm. These guys are such a powerful shock unit that you really can't afford not to bring them. He's also got, I think he's got 2 units of Our Blademasters. I think there might be one hiding in this giant mess in the center here, but I'm not 100% sure on that. I will verify, though, when it comes down to the comps. Also, the Woodland Realm bringing 1 unit of Catapult, because this is a siege battle and it's important to have at least 1 piece of siege equipment if you can help it. I mean, it's not just for breaking down the walls either. That's going to help you out in choke point battles for driving the enemy out of defensive positions and making them fight on ground that is not necessarily to their advantage. Moving on now to the third and final attacking army, we have a second Isengard force being commanded by Stewed Fungus. Very similar to the first one. He's got 1 unit of Catapult, 1 unit of Trolls of the White Hand, about the same amount of Uruk-hai Infantry and Uruk-hai Pikemen. I think he's got about 3 or 4 of each. 3 units of Uruk-hai Crossbows. I think he's got 2 units. Yes, should be 2 units of the Dunlending Clansmen. 1 unit of Berserkers. 2 units of Guards of the Orthanc. He's got Nazgai Bodyguard. Yeah, you can see those very distinctive white helmets right there. And I think that just about... No, he's got Uruk Bombers as well. You can't... I have no idea where they are in that, but they are definitely present on the battlefield. So that does it for the attackers. Let's go ahead and let's see what the defenders have brought to the battle today. The first defending army we're going to look at today is the forces of the Dwarves, being commanded by 11th MS Kuheru. And I believe he's the one who sent in the replay, so big thank you to you. Thank you for supporting the channel. He has brought 1 unit of Merchants, 1 unit of Miners. Oh, not a bad idea to have Cav on Dol Guldur. That map like the map gives you a massive downhill charge to start off with, and if people aren't expecting it, you can actually do a lot of damage very early on. And when you're the defender, you need every advantage that you can get. He's also bringing 3 units of Ironfoot Crossbows, 1 unit of Catapult, I believe 4 units of Ironfoot Warriors. These guys are really cost effective. They make an excellent mainline unit, but unlike some of the other Dwarven units like the Iron Guard, for example, these guys lack an extra hit point. They do have AP though, so they have that going over the Ironfoot Guard. He's also got the standard kind of Dwarven elite infantry lineup. He's got a couple units of Airborne infantry, 4 units of Khazad sentries, which I was not expecting. I mean, I would expect people to bring the Ironfoot pikes over them, because the Ironfoot pikes are, in my opinion, a little bit better. But the Khazad sentries, I think, are a little bit cheaper, so that's probably the reasoning behind that. But yes, 4 units of Khazad sentries, 1 unit of Dragon Slayers of Arid Mithril, 1 unit of Guards of Khazad-dûm, 1 unit of Mithril Guard. Yeah, they're not called Balin's Guard anymore, they're the Mithril Guard. And 1 unit of Sons of the Fallen. I believe the Sons of the Fallen is the General's bodyguard unit, so we should see a distinctive red-haired Dwarven general leading this this faction. Oh, never mind. He's going to be hanging out with the Blacklocks, who are devastating in a siege battle like this with lots of open space. It is possible that they will be sniped by enemy archers, but if you can get these guys going, especially into the late game when people are starting to run out of arrows, oh, the Blacklock Engineers devastate. They have body piercing, so they can pierce multiple opponents with their arrows. They're more like mobile ballistas, really, than anything else. You can use them to wipe out some really important units, like the Elder Palace Guard, for example. They're going to want to watch out for those Blacklocks. But moving on now to his ally, and that being the forces of, we're just going to call him Captain. He's got 4 units of Lokflag Rim, 4 units of Lokscion Rim, I believe 3 or 4 units of the Clan Crossbows, who are really efficient anti-armor units. Actually, Rhun in general is very anti-armor. So the Flag Rim and the Gamp Rim, both high attack AP infantry units. So the heavily armored forces of Isengard are really going to struggle against this kind of comp, I believe. He's also got 1 unit of Dragon's Wrath Guildsmen, 2 units of the Lokscion Rim. Again, AP, one of the few AP Spear units in the game. These guys are by far the best AP Spear unit available to any faction. I think he's got, yes indeed he does, he's got a couple units up here of the Kamul Shadow Guard, 1 unit of Kamul Shadow Bows, and a unit over here of the Dragon's Wrath Guildsmen, the Dragon's Wrath Crossbowmen, who, oh my god, in any theater of war, when you can get these guys going, be it a siege or a field battle, or really just, you name it, these guys are strong. They've got alternate ammo fire, so their regular crossbow damage does more than regular crossbows. It fires like this like small clutch of tiny crossbow bolts, which is really cool. So custom ammunition and projectiles there for that. But it also can fire large fireballs, which can wipe out infantry. So these guys, very good, very versatile. They can adapt to almost any situation you put them in. They've also got multiple HP and are strong as hell in melee. So this is definitely a beastly unit to have to stare down the barrel of in a siege battle where your mobility is very limited, and clumping up is naturally something that's going to happen. But finally, we've got a unit of, it says unlocalized placement tech. These guys are actually the Sapphire Bladesman. They are a very powerful elite javelin unit. I think these guys here are supposed to be the 2 blue wizards, which is kind of, it's a cool touch. I don't know if that was made by the Reforged team or not. I think it might come out of DAC. I could be wrong about that. But in any case, it's good to have these guys in the game. They are very strong militia javelin units. They've also got, I don't know if you can see them on the back there. You can see these brutal falxes that they use. So I believe they're actually AP in melee as well. So they make good support troops after they've tossed their javelin clutch. But that just about does it for the attackers and the defenders. So let's go ahead and let's jump right into the replay. As we can see, the attackers have already managed to burst some holes in the defending ramparts. The defenders are going to respond by sallying forward with a couple units of their cavalry. They're going to be floating out here like a couple of sharks, circling the Isengard force, waiting for an opportunity to dive in there. Isengard's not going to wait for it, though. They're going to move in with their trolls of the white hands, maybe try and run some of these guys down. Not a bad idea. If you can deny a charge and get your trolls after a unit of cavalry, especially heavy cavalry, the trolls are fast enough that the heavy cavalry can't actually disengage properly, and the trolls will be dealing constant attrition to them as they try and flee. But all things considered here, Isengard, I think they're going to be okay as long as they can protect some of their more squishy units and the more valuable units like the trolls. Obviously, like I said earlier, you don't want to get them charged because they will die very quickly. And instead, you want to use them to countercharge cavalry. They've got enough arrows and they've got enough pikes and things like that here to defend themselves quite handily from any kind of attack from the cavalry. So the cavalry's going to go for the easiest thing around. That being the Isengard Ram. These Dunlending clansmen, despite being spear units, are not nearly of a caliber high enough to deal with these Camel's Dragon Knights. They are doing a wonderful job, however, at holding them in place long enough for the Isengarders to move in with their crossbows. You can see a lot of fire being poured into the back of those Camel's Dragon Knights. Looks like the other Isengard forces managed to breach the gate, but over here, the Camel's Dragon Knights, they're in trouble. This is the worst place for them to be, and that's an expensive unit to throw away like this. I would definitely get them out of there as quickly as possible. Looks like the merchants are coming in to try and help them out. I would have gone a different way. I would have taken those merchants and maybe used them to hit some of these crossbows. The crossbows are very deadly in a siege, and the Isengard crossbows in particular are very nasty. So I think it's probably a better use of their resources here to use that cavalry to hit some high-value targets, rather than just a ram and a small unit of militia spears that can be replaced fairly easily. Moving on over to the other end, let's see what the Isengard forces are doing. Looks like they've begun to pour onto the wall, and Rhun is not going to be able to disengage with his clan crossbowmen fast enough, so they are going to get caught by the Dunlending clansmen. Now, the clansmen are not very strong in any sense. Oh, it looks like another piece of the walls has actually fallen as well. I think that's over there. Yeah, a lot of dead crossbows as well. So the runic crossbow corps has suffered immensely at the hands of the attackers already. And I think I'm hesitant to call this a micro mistake. This could just as easily been a pathfinding error, because Dol Guldur is pretty well infamous for that sort of thing. But in any case, as I was saying, the Dunlending clansmen are not a very strong unit by any stretch of imagination. However, against these lightly armored clan crossbows, who are just unable to escape, unable to flee into the defensive bulwark of the Lokgamp Brim here, they're going to suffer quite badly, and that's going to ultimately, I think that's going to play a big part in how this battle turns out. As the defenders, especially with powerful crossbow skirmishers like this, you need to conserve your ammunition, you need to conserve your numbers as best you can, and crossbows, especially this last choke point in the center here, can really make a big difference. They can turn games around, absolutely. So these crossbow units firing into an expensive unit like the Elder Palace Guard, for example, would have a huge impact on the battle, well above their price point. So over here at the breach, we can see a lot of deads. Those are the Ironfoot crossbows, the poor Ironfoot crossbows. Those poor clan crossbows as well, so it's not just the clan crossbows. Big loss to the defenders there, but they have now formed up in front of this breach, and it's an interesting strategy. I don't usually see people just present themselves in front of a breach like this. Yes, it definitely looks cool and it prevents anybody from coming in, but it does allow the attackers to fire through that gap with artillery, for example, and blow huge holes in your defensive line. Looks like the elves are going to be taking their time anyway. Just kind of sitting down here, just waiting, biding their time, letting the Isengarders go in first as they punch holes in the ramparts. Over here, it looks like that cav has been chased off. I don't know what's become of the Dragon Knights. Oh, maybe that's them over there. Yes, indeed it is. They've taken some fairly heavy losses, however. About half the unit, and I think the merchants are still around as well. Let's see where they are. Another breach going down in the walls. I think that's at the western gate. No, indeed, that would be the southern gate. Those merchants. Oh, I see what they've done. They pulled them off and they're going to go for the Elven Catapults. Elves apparently didn't see this coming, or they weren't expecting it, or they were busy looking at something else. Very easy to have happen to you. And a lot of those catapult men are going to go down. I don't know if the merchants are going to be able to. No, they're not going to be able to follow through enough and wipe out that catapult unit. They are going to be driven back quite quickly by the combined Elven host here. There's just not enough of them. They're a militia tier unit anyway, and all of these Elven units, I think, kind of scared them off. But they did hit that catapult, do some damage to it, but maybe we'll see the Dragon Knights follow up with that. And indeed we are going to. Campbell's Dragon Knights are going to stand against the Elves much better. Oh man, that is nasty. That's a lot of dead cavalrymen. Apparently the Elven General hanging out in that catapult unit. Oof. That was painful. So the Woodland Realm has lost their general. They're not really in any danger of routing, however, so I wouldn't worry too much about that. But still, the loss of that catapult, it sucks. It sucks big time. They have blown some holes in the walls, so they've gotten a little bit of value out of their catapult so far. But in terms of breaking up choke points and things like that, a catapult, it just can't be beat. So to lose it like that, very unfortunate. What do we got here? What is this? Some Hiri Deereth getting a little bit too close to the lines. That looks definitely like a micro mistake to me. Bugs is now pulling them back. Gonna try and get them away from those towers. Let's see how things are going down here. Isengard slowly moving forward. You can see some Snaga archers moving forward. I guess I kind of missed the Snaga archers, but they tend to hide. So, you know, it happens. But the rest of the Isengard forces moving forward towards the breach. I think we could see the assault get underway in just a few moments. Let's pop back over to the other end. We can see the Dunlending clansmen. Last time we saw them, they're doing a lot better than what they are now. Reduced now to 47, fleeing in the face of those low Gamprim. They were not going to be able to punch through there, though they did manage to kill 5 or so of them, so that's not so bad. Got some Isengard crossbows up here on the hill. You're going to see this a lot in Dol Guldur. Do not think that your defenses are safe just because you are inside of the walls. The attackers will almost always put some skirmishing units up here on this hill and rain death down upon you. Especially with a unit like those crossbows. Oh, that's going to be nasty. A lot of dead Gamprim. The clan crossbows, 2 units of them in fact, are firing back. But in loose formation like this, and with the heavy armor that the Isengard crossbows have, they're going to have more than enough time to do a lot of damage to the runic infantry downstairs. So now would be a good time to try and get your forces as close to this wall, maybe a little bit closer as possible. And below, unfortunately, that does leave some gaps in your defenses, but you can fill that in with some units that you hide up here. But leaving them out in the open like this, probably not the best course of action. Alright, let's see, what else is happening here? Looks like those merchants sallied forward, came back out, got promptly driven back by the elves. They really want to kill that catapult. What we got here? A last-ditch charge from the Camel's Dragon Knights straight into the Elder Royal Guard. They are going to kill a few of them. Every dead Elder Royal Guard is a loss dearly felt. But I think maybe it'd be better to pull through there, try and get into those catapults. 2 or 3 individuals in a Camel's Dragon Knight unit will chew a catapult out, but unfortunately they are being committed to fighting some pretty tough customers here. Elder Royal Guard, as I mentioned earlier, do have AP, so they will cut through these guys like nobody's business. The catapult is definitely a bigger threat at this point, I believe. I don't know how this happened, but it looks like one of the catapults got destroyed. I don't know, maybe they hit each other or something by accident. That's going to be the end for the Camel's Dragon Knights. You can see some of the infantry getting a little bit stuck here behind this wall. This wall is smart, I have to say. It's a good way to shield your forces from incoming arrow fire, but you got to be careful about the pathfinding, and Bugs, I think, is finding that out the hard way. See some Sindar Blademasters that were trying to move forward, getting really strung out, and now they're being shot down by the towers as they try to retreat. Over here we can see, oh, look at this, a flanking movement from the Dwarves. Isengard poured into that breach, left this part open, and this is exactly what happens. This is going to be punishing for Isengard. The Dwarven miners, they're light infantry, and they're cheap, and they're not amazing. However, they are AP. So in a situation like this, they can do some decent damage. They're not going to kill the Uruks by any means. I don't think so in any case. But they will inflict disproportional amount of damage. And over here you can see, is that another unit of miners? Oh, maybe he's got 2 units of miners. What do you know? The other unit of miners backing up some Ironfall warriors. This could be crushing for Isengard. They could lose a lot of their infantry and a lot of their valuable pikemen in this kind of trade-off.
The enemy's siege tower is nothing but
Well, somebody's siege tower just blew up. Let's see if we can find that. I get no idea. It's probably one of the siege towers on the line here. But in any case, popping back over to the fight between the Dwarves and Isengard. Isengard, yeah, very bunched up, very penned in at this point by a lot of AP infantry. Although they seem to be doing all right. They managed to make it inside the walls, but I'm pretty sure the Dwarves are going to be able to drive these guys back. And there's still more yet to come. You got some Ironfall crossbows up here who are easily able to lend support. Another couple units of Ironfall warriors being committed to the cause. Isengard's not getting through this little gap here without much loss. I think it would have been better to use some of their siege towers. Why wouldn't you do that? Bring them up here. Oh, what do you know? We found the destroyed tower, but bring those siege towers up here. open up multiple lanes of attack so that the defenders can't just concentrate all of their forces in a small area. And make sure you try and cover all the lanes that the attackers could use to counterattack you. Otherwise, you'll have something like this happen. And those Dwarven Miners, they've done a decent amount of damage to these guys, and they're not an expensive unit in the slightest. This is just some throwaway leftover gold that the Dwarven player had. And they've made Isengard pay for it with about 50 or so Uruk-hai infantry. It adds up. Small steps that leads towards defeat. Let's see what else we got going on here. So far, all quiet. We can see some Uruk-hai crossbows actually moving forward, apparently firing their missiles. Don't believe it, though. Looking like they're going to move towards this gap and take some pot shots here at the low-flag rim. This is an opportunity for Rhun. A sally here would catch those Uruk-hai crossbows out. There's no Isengard reinforcements anywhere near there. So these crossbows will be forced to retreat, and they will definitely take casualties in an exchange with some heavily armored, very powerful runic infantry. So I think that the Rhun player needs to take advantage of this. He may not have noticed it, although now it appears that he has. Low flag rim moving forward, going to punish Isengard for this misstep. You can already see the crossbows beginning to drop. These guys, as I mentioned probably several times throughout the course of this video already, crossbows are very valuable. It is a high priority target for any defender, and Rhun is going to make Isengard pay for this. Yeah, you can see now they're going to be forced to run away. There's no defense near them, and they are going to take a lot of casualties in the retreat. So I think it's best for Rhun to go back in there, and yes, that's exactly what they're going to do. Not going to throw kind of good money before bads, and they're going to get out of there before the crossbows can turn around, and the Dunlaning clansmen can pin them in position, allowing the crossbows to pelt them on the open like this without some shelter here in the form of these walls. So those clansmen are going to push forward, and now that does kind of leave the crossbows free to do their work, but unfortunately for them, they didn't see this coming. And another sally forward by Rhun is going to catch these guys out. Although, well, maybe not. Maybe the crossbow... Nah, that is a big mistake right there. Those clansmen are going to lose that fight anyway. There is no need to turn your back to crossbowmen. Not the Isengard crossbowmen, least of all. Yeah, they need to be chased down. They need to be fought with anything, really. Something that needs to chase them and keep them constantly on the back foot. So now Isengard is going to have the time he needs to recover. Those crossbows are going to be able to set up and be able to fire uphill into the low flag rim. And now this is another reason why this was a misstep. The low flag rim are going to be pinned here, fighting the clansmen. This one unit was in a good position to just fight them on their own terms, but now there's an overextension here of the runic line, and Isengard is going to be able to move forward with his Uruk-hai infantry and pin them in place and surround them. This is not what the defenders want to be doing right now. They don't want to throw away lives, not needlessly. And that's what I think this is, potentially a big needless waste of defenders' resources. Moving on over to the other end, you can see that Isengard, they've been beaten back. They've pulled back with their pikemen. What remains of that Uruk-hai infantry unit has now fled outside the wall. Snug archers trying to pelt down, I don't know what, probably the crossbows, but they just don't do enough damage. Oh, maybe they're going after the catapult. That's probably not the worst idea. Most of the dwarven units are well armored and able to withstand the snug arrows for days, but not the catapult, certainly not. And I can see more and more Isengard forces moving in. They're preparing for a big push here. You can really tell. Uruk-hai infantry ready to potentially storm the walls. I think they've still got their catapult. They may be out of ammunition. Oh, I see what they're doing. They may open up another breach here, which is a smart idea. That would allow them, I think, to overwhelm the defenders potentially, although the defenders appear to be predicting this and are not going to defend the gatehouse or this choke point over here any further. They're actually going to pull back rather and fight here at this hill. So ultimately, if Isengard does manage to break down this wall, that would be a waste of their money. But maybe that's a waste of their resources rather. But maybe that's why the catapult isn't actually firing at it anymore. They see what the defenders have done. And now they're just going to save that ammunition for a rainy day, which is, I think, a smarter decision. Merchants, again, getting routed. Oh, those poor merchants. I don't know what happened here. I mean, cavalry charges don't destroy siege equipment. Maybe they got hit with something. Maybe they hit themselves. I don't know. But that catapult unit definitely out of commission for the elves. I don't think I see any more crew left either. So the elves have lost their artillery. That's a big win for the defenders right there. Let's see what's going on with the gatehouse. Looks like the flag rim have, for the most part, managed to retreat. I think both units of them now safely back inside of the keep. This one unit here getting a little bit too far outside the gatehouse. I think that's going to be a problem. You don't want to get surrounded. Pushing out here like this out of a narrow area means that as soon as you emerge from this gatehouse, you are going to be surrounded. But they don't seem to be doing too badly, and I think the AP bonus that the Loke Flag Rim get is going to start to tell against the Isengard, and already you can see the tide of battle beginning to shift in favor of those defenders. Let's see what we got up here. All those crossbows from like ages ago still doing work, and look at the damage they have caused. A lot of dead Gamp Rim. This one unit here reduced down to next to nothing. These guys are tough. They are decent halberds, and they've got a lot of damage. AP, of course. So it really sucks to lose them like this. I think they should have been pulled back, or either up here or over to the wall where they couldn't be hit as easily. Let's see what's going on here. Looks like the elves have moved forward. This is not a good place for the Siri Lang to be. No, not at all. I mean, I understand why they're here, to protect against merchants or something that tries to sally out the gate and get into the archers, but at least use something with a shield. I mean, these Siri Lang standing out here taking the arrow fire from the towers. Towers don't do a lot of damage, but they shoot fast, and they shoot in like clutches of 5 arrows. So these Siri Lang will slowly get picked apart if they remain out here too long. Oh, another breach being made in the defending walls. I think this is on the dwarf side. It could be. Yes, indeed it is. So now the attackers have multiple means in here. Not all that important for the reasons discussed earlier. The defenders are already in a position that they're just going to stay in, so they're probably not going to sally forward and try and bottle up the attackers in this little choke point over here where they did previously. Let's see what Isengard does with this. Yeah, they're going to take the opportunity to move up with some more of their elite troops. See some guards of the Orthanc right there, just in case there's any cavalry attacks. And there's also some Nazgai moving up in the rear as well. So once that attack starts, they may be able to push through this fairly quickly. The Ironfoot Warriors are good, but they won't stand up to Nazgai, and they won't stand up to all of these numbers, and especially the Pikemen. Pikemen are very good against these dwarves. They got tiny little arms, and they just can't hack their way past that defensive pike wall. Oh, excuse me very much. So, yeah, if Isengard comes in there in force, I think the dwarves with just 2 lines of Ironfoot Warriors are going to be quite hard-pressed to hold them at bay. Over here, though, this is not a bad place for the Ironfoot Crossbows to be. I mean, you wouldn't think so, given that most of them are facing a wall. But they are protected from the Elven Archer fire, which is a big deal, because they are very accurate, and they will shoot right through these little crenellations in the wall. And they're also able to provide a second line of missile support for the troops down here. I mean, crossbows don't have great range, but they can definitely reach to the gatehouse. So all in all, a nice tiered defense here from the Dwarven player. Let's see how things are going over on this end. Looks like the Isengard are trying to push through some of their crossbows, out of ammunition perhaps. Or maybe just getting caught. I don't think they've been firing enough to be out of ammunition at this point. So we got some Flag Rim and some Gamp Rim in there to back them up, dealing with this push from Isengard over at the gatehouse. The Flag Rim, they're starting to flag a little bit. They've lost a fair amount of troops here. The Isengarders, of course, have taken an equal amount of casualties, but they've still got the numbers, and they've still got the clansmen in there to back them up. So these Flag Rim may be worn down over time. Oh, looks like Rhun is going to take this opportunity to do what he did the last time. It's not as big of a threat. Most of the Isengarders are down here. They have no cavalry. The only thing they have is really quick moving is the Trolls of the White Hand. And if they throw them into battle against those halberds, they will die very quickly. So Isengard not able to reinforce them easily, and there's no more crossbows out here. So this surround, it's a good idea. It's going to save lives, I think, rather than wasting them like it would last time. Oh, what do we have here? Oh, there is some crossbows. Oh man, I didn't even see them, and apparently the Runic player didn't either. He's going to hurriedly get back inside and try to avoid any more incoming fire. Damn, that was a painful misstep, though. Can't fault him for it. Even I didn't see it. I thought they were just part of the unit that was up there on the hill. Let's see what we got here. Looks like some of the Isengard crossbows under Stewed Fungus have moved in, trying to put some pressure on the Ironfoot crossbowmen, which they have done to great effect. Look at that. And that tight formation from the Ironfoot crossbows really ended up being the downfall for this particular unit, now down to a meager 50. I think that's like well over half of their unit. I think they start with like 120 or something. Isengard now going to pursue the assault. Uruk-hai Infantry leading the way, backed up by some Dol Clansmen. The idea here being throw your weakest units in first, tire out the Dwarves, although the Dwarves do have amazing stamina, I have to say. There always ends up being something vaguely sexual in any of my videos. Don't read too much into that comment. But the Dol Clansmen are going to tire out, or slowly begin to chip away at the fatigue of these Dwarven warriors, which will ultimately make them easier to overwhelm. Ooh, that was nasty. That may rout the Clansmen immediately. Indeed it does. Oh, another hit to follow that up. Going to hit some of those Uruk-hai infantry. This is going to be a slaughterhouse for Isengard. Yeah, those Ironfoot warriors are going to be able to hold out for a reasonable amount of time. Certainly well enough to give this catapult and the remaining crossbows an opportunity to do some serious work. Oh man, this is going to be ugly. Let's get right in there. Ooh, I think it was a little bit of friendly fire that time, but mostly that was Uruk-hai. One more, baby. Do it. Oh, that's just brutal. The damage they are doing to Isengard is pretty severe. And Isengard is... Whoa. They're just going to push through there. Just use their mass to break through that second line. And if that catapult keeps firing, it is inevitably going to hit some of its own troops now. So at least Isengard is going to be taking some of these dwarves with them. Even if they are getting absolutely massacred. It's going to be discouraging for the attackers to see your first wave get slaughtered so quickly and so adeptly. See some reinforcements moving in the form of these Khazad sentries. That is a brutal battle line. Ironfoot warriors backed up by pikes. I would not want to run into that. These Uruk-hai they've got bigger balls than I do, certainly. Ooh, more friendly. Oh no, actually surprisingly no friendly fire. The Isengarders broke right through, opened up a clear lane of attack. And that catapult was able to just fire directly into them without causing too much damage to their friends. So the Ironfoot Dwarves looking like they're going to reform, get back into shield wall. The first Isengard wave has been beaten back. Snuggle archers moving in. Their morale is not good enough though. Oh, if they keep taking casualties like that, they won't even have a chance to fire a single volley at that catapult. I think they're going to rout. This is going to be it. Game over right here. They should not be using crossbow ammunition on these guys, though. Not in the slightest. Another volley from the crossbows. That's a waste of resources, I think. Oh, the Snaga. They take one shot from that, and they're going to fall apart. Oh, they're out of ammunition. That's why they're here. They're just kind of here to be here. Got a few Uruk-hai crossbows outside the wall. Going to opt for the safe approach and just fire indirectly into the crossbows and into the artillery piece. Rhun has formed up. This is very bold, but very dangerous against the elves. Look at this. Elder Palace Guard getting themselves formed up. There's some elven archers moving in. Though surprisingly, yeah, they are going to fire right into the Lokam Brim with their fire arrows. I'm not sure I would use fire arrows. Not in this instance. There are some times when fire arrows are useful. Most people don't like them because they fire so much slower. But they do the same amount of damage as regular arrows, but they do morale damage in addition to that. So it can be worth it in certain instances, but certainly not in this one. The runic troops are in no danger of routing, so there's really no point for this to be happening. It does look cool, though. It has the added bonus of looking really freaking awesome. Get right in there and enjoy that. So now the elven archers have moved in. Where are the javelins? Now, the javelins are something that I would definitely use in this instance. This is unfortunate. More pathfinding issues. The elven player has to be aware of this. Anybody who's using this as a strategy with this massive wall here needs to be aware that your units will get caught on it. And maybe they will slowly filter around, but it's going to take way too much time. The time lost in and of itself is very prohibitive. Yeah, there's a second unit to send our Blademasters. I knew there was a second one. So the Lokam Brim being peppered down, as I think we all knew they would. This is a dangerous but bold stance to take, but with those fire arrows, I think the damage is really being minimized. There's some losses there, mostly among the Gamp Rim, but the Scion Rim will stand up to that no problem. Let's see what we got here. Ooh, those Ironfoot Dwarves. They're suffering quite heavily. From the front, crossbow bolts actually go through the shield value as well as as having the armor value. So these Ironfoot warriors, despite being in shield wall and despite being dwarves taken to fire from the front, they will actually take some casualties from this. Look at that. More than you'd expect, and that's just a small unit of crossbows as well. Some more Dunletting clansmen looking like they've come back from routing. Wonder what Isengard is planning here. Yeah, they don't have any more elites in the area, so I think they're just going to try and wear down the Dwarven front line with chaff, which is that's the smart thing to do. That's definitely what is conventional in this kind of situation. So the Hiri Bang, looking like no, they've still got ammunition, so but they are going to fall back. I think we're getting actually some counterfire here, not just from the towers, but even from maybe some of the shadow bows or something. No, maybe it is just the towers. Still, there is an opportunity here for the elves to use that accuracy. I don't see a ton of skirmishers over in this end, so that is definitely a weakness in the defenders' position here. So they could move up, defend the front with some of their shielded units like the Hiri Gearth, for example, who will hold out well against a Sally, and use their bowmen and their superior accuracy to try and take down this catapult, which will relieve a lot of the pressure on Isengard and help them more easily push through this front line. It's important to be aware of those kind of things. I mean, even if you're not doing something to help your own war effort personally, helping your allies obviously contributes to your shared collective goal. So in this situation, I think the elves could be better served, maybe taking shots at this catapult. But you know what? As I say this, I see that the catapult is actually dead. I don't know how this happens. There was no catapult in position to put fire on them. The catapults are just apparently committing suicide all over the battlefield today. So yeah, maybe disregard that last bit of criticism, but it is still important to be situationally aware in this and to try and think, 2 steps ahead. Where are we going to be in half an hour from now? How are we going to achieve our goal? Now, what are the elves doing? Kind of holding out their shock infantry as bait here, and they're just getting peppered down by those towers. The Our Blademasters especially. I think they have like literally 2 armor. They've got 42 defense, 2 of which is armor, so they are extremely vulnerable to this kind of constant harassment. So they need to be thrown in there, otherwise they're going to be lost really, or reduced, heavily reduced. Now we can see those javelins moving forward. The Elder Council, this is a good idea, and I think they're going to be able to make Rhun really pay for this. They've got 2 units now stacked on top of each other, both of which are vulnerable to missiles. You can see the Dragon's Wrath Guildsmen in there, and the Loke Gamp Rim as well. Looks like that is actually going to be the target of the Elder Council. So let's go ahead and let's fast forward through this. Oh yeah, they're going to go for it, baby. They're a little bit undefended. So if these guys decided they wanted to sally, I think these guys might be caught out because they do have to kind of go over the crest of this hill. But it's worth it. That would heavily weaken the defenders and cause some serious damage to a very expensive, very deadly unit, that being the Dragon's Wrath Guildsmen in particular, who I think have like 3 HP and a really high attack value, so they can be very useful at cracking elves, for example, who rely mostly on their melee defense. And a great thing to overwhelm melee defense is either flanking charges or missile fire, but also high attack values. See how things are going over on this end. Oh, those Uruk-hai crossbows, just another unit has just sprung up to replace the one that was gunned down on the hill. And they are putting some serious fire into the Scion Rim. And these units of Scion Rim now heavily reduced. I don't know where that came from. That was like some Hand of God stuff right there. But a lot of these runic infantry have been heavily reduced. Over here we can see the Flag Rim. Ooh, that's cheeky. Flag Rim backed up by the Gamp Rim, pushing hard against the catapult. Unfortunately, they're not going to be able to get a good enough piece of it to make this worth it. It was a good try, though. Definitely worth a go. But now these running infantry are going to be surrounded and destroyed and shot to death either by crossbows or poked to death by pikes. But as I was saying, the Scion Rim here now heavily reduced. Attacking this Uruk-hai infantry is a good idea, but it does expose them to fire from the rear. Luckily for them, though, the crossbows' attention seems to be focused elsewhere. I think on the elimination of that small band of runic soldiers that decided to sally outwards to take on the catapult. But yeah, now the Scion Rim had an opportunity there. Great situational awareness on the part of the runic player, but keeping them in there. Every moment that passes, the danger of being shot in the rear intensifies, and it looks like that's what's going to happen right here. You can see those crossbows winding themselves up. Surprisingly enough, they're not going to shoot at the rear of the Scion Rim. They're actually just going to go for the front of the other unit of Scion Rim. So this Uruk-hai infantry, they're doing all right. They have the advantage because they're sword infantry versus spear infantry, but these spears are also AP and quite well armed and armored. Let's move on to the other end. Let's see. Oh, wow. Yes, indeed. We missed it, unfortunately. But the Elder Council just made Rhun really pay for it for forming up in front of that gap. And damn, look at that. That's like a quarter of that unit of Dragon's Wrath Guildsmen gone in the space of a javelin volley. A lot of those Gamprim, I'm sure, are dead as well. This is exactly why you don't want to form up in front of breaches like this. It gives your enemies opportunities you don't want them to have. Now look at this. Isengard has come in full force, swept away that front line. They've just punched right through the Ironfoot warriors, who are doing their best to hold things back, but the high mass of these spearmen is just bullying these dwarves around. Even the Khazad sentries are not going to be able to stand up to it. Mass being one of the big hard counters to pike units. If they can push through the Ironfoot warriors, they're going to be able to push through these Khazad sentries no problem. Oh man, those Uruk-hai infantry are just taking it though. Those crossbows up there, they were in such a good position, although being in tight formation like that and not having the opportunity to spread out is eventually going to, I think, spell the downfall of these guys, and you can already see it. Look at that, half a unit of dead crossbows right there. And you can see that the Uruk-hai crossbows are in no real danger. There's not enough of those crossbowmen up there to really pose a problem for them, and a lot of them are actually being shielded by the Uruk-hai infantry. 150 crossbows here, standing strong, putting a lot of withering crossbow fire into those Ironfoot crossbowmen up there on the rampart. So it's looking like Isengard is going to be able to break through here, and I don't see any more Dwarven reinforcements on the way. Although I say that now, there's one unit of Ironfoot warriors slowly inching their way over there. It may be that the defenders are just going to use this last kind of line here to hold out as long as they can, inflict as much damage as they can to the Isengarders, and then pull back to the second layer of defenses. And I can already see some of that right now, actually. 2 units of Airborne infantry moving up the rampart. And down here we can see some of the Camel Shadow Guard moving in. Still the Runic player trying to hold down this gatehouse. It may be a lost cause. Although I have to say the Elves are not in any immediate position to break through. Ooh, what just happened there? That's a lot of fire, arrow fire. Lighting all of these guys on fire. Clan Crossbows doing their best. I think they were shooting... I don't know who they were shooting at, but whoever they hit, they're going to do a lot of damage to them. The Elves do not have great armor values. Looks like they went for... maybe it was the Javelins, but I think it was mostly the Our Blademasters. That's going to be all she wrote for those Clan Crossbowmen there. All that remains is a smoking, charred, fleshy rubble of that poor unit. Very brave, but I don't know. The defenses are starting to crumble. The Elves are definitely playing the long game here. Oh man, they got another nice shot there against the Gamp Rim. Captain Douchebag just didn't pull back his troops in time. And look at the cost. Those other council, I think they may be out of ammo. Nope, they've still, I think, got something. Nope, they are out of ammo. They got their spears in hands. So they're gonna charge in there. I'm not sure I would do this. Not without something to follow that up with. Look at this, some inattention here on the part of the Runic player. It is gonna cost them. I would have gone for the crossbows personally. I don't know if those spears will do too much against the Gamp Rim. Maybe though. Rhun's just kind of letting them do that. Why not throw the Dragon's Wrath Guildsmen in there? There's no other missile units and things like that. Although they may be waiting for a greater commitment here on the part of the Woodland Realm. But I think if he moved, just temporarily moved a unit in front of this gap here and hit the Elder Council in the rear with those Dragon's Wrath Guildsmen, like I said, attacks from the rear and flanking attacks are great against Elven units because they tend to lack armor. I'm sorry, Elder Council, but it is way too late for fleeing. Yeah, those other councils are going to be hacked down. I personally would have gone a different way with this. I would have put these shielded infantry in the front here. to defend this gap, and then use the high damage infantry to quickly cut down the Elder Council, and then I can shift support into this choke point here to beat back the elves. Although that being said, the Hiri-Dirith going basically balls deep into this wall does present an opportunity, but it doesn't look like the Runic player is going to take advantage of that. I would have kept these guys here with their high attack values and thrown them into the flank of the Hiri-Dirith. Oh man, this Elder Council got massacred. That is no bueno for them. The Dwarves still holding strong. Looks like another wave of Guards of the Orthanc pushing in there. Oh wow, just throwing those Dwarves around, using their mass. This is exactly what you want to do against a Dwarven choke point, especially when they're using units like pikemen, and especially against the Ironfoot Warriors in this kind of situation where their formation is actually quite thin. So it is, the line is very easily broken by a sudden charge with high mass units. Yeah, so the Ironfoot Warriors have been driven back all the way to the pike line. Not many of them left now, down to a meager 50. The pike line I think will stand strong for a little while. But ultimately, Isengard is going to be able to take this. So now I think is the time for the defenders to begin to fall back, perhaps? Looks like that's what they're going to do. Entirely. Perhaps a little bit even prematurely, although they are in danger of being outflanked here. I see some Sindar Blademasters missing an opportunity to take these Locate Flag from the rear. That would be an easy fight for them. The Locate Flag Rim, they don't have the highest attack value, and the Sindar Blademasters, as I mentioned earlier, are all melee defense, so they might not do too badly. Although maybe it's the missile damage that that Bugs is fearing, and perhaps rightly so. And you can see the defenders begin to circle the wagons a little bit here, pulling back into a more central position. Looks like the Shadow Guards. The Shadow Guard could be used to very quickly sweep away this unit of pikemen, but they don't have the greatest armor, so the pikemen can poke them to death, or at least inflict some serious casualties on them. So maybe it's better what he's doing right now, trying to get these guys out of there, and it looks like he may actually begin to pull them back up there into the center, but at least shoot at those pikes with your Camel Shadow Bows. Now is an opportunity. Take advantage of it. Seize it by the horns. Down here at Isengard's remaining forces, they've got some serious elites left. They got the Guards of the Orthanc, more pikes. They got a Catapult down there as well. They just seem to have a never-ending supply of Uruk-hai crossbows. They've lost a lot of their chaff, but they've still got their elites. The Nazgai Bodyguard down here, alongside some Uruk bombers, and the Trolls of the White Hands, who are all untouched, have yet to taste battle. Now let's fast forward through this a little bit, because there's a lot of moving around here. The elves moving forward towards the choke points that have been abandoned by Rhun, which means that the dwarven position down here is now extremely untenable. The Hiri Lang going to charge into the rear of that Khazad sentry pike wall, trapping them and the remaining Ironfoot infantrymen. That's going to be all she wrote. These dwarves are going to get taken between the hammer and the anvil and completely annihilated. That's going to be all she wrote for them. The retreat at this time, maybe not the worst idea. The defenses on the lower level were fast becoming untenable, but it was a little bit sloppy, I think. There's actually some crossbows. You can see them. They got left behind. These units here to hold the line got left behind and eventually outflanked. And yeah, they just kind of fled and left a whole bunch of things behind that probably could have been saved. Those crossbows in particular would have been a nice thing to have in the center of the Citadel right now. Now down here, Rhun has pulled back completely. These Uruk-hai pikemen have been left in charge of this little battlefield here. Victors, small pocket of Loksai on Rim here to hold out against them. Actually, a couple small units. Surprised that these guys weren't pulled back as well. Looks like the Runic player is trying to do that, trying to save every last scrap of their army. Not a bad idea at all. Elsewhere, it's just cleanup at this point. The only real fight I think that's going on right now, I wouldn't even call it a real fight, is between those Scion Rim and the Uruk-hai pikemen. Let's fast forward a little bit here. I'll wait for everybody to consolidate their positions, for the defenders, or the attackers rather, to consolidate their gains, move in, and begin preparations for the final assault on the town square. But I'm going to fast forward through this, and I will see you guys in just a few moments. So now the attackers have consolidated, and they're beginning to move in. You can see a siege tower has been brought towards the walls by the Isengard player, the Spartan. This is a good move. This particular little piece of topography is extremely open and very easily destroyed by, or very easily fired upon by missile units. So the Isengard player is going to move his crossbows up into the wall, use the ramparts against the defenders, and he's going to have some wide open shots to just about anything that he wants. The thing I would go for probably right away is the Camel Shadow Guard. They will die very quickly, and they can be quite brutal when well supported. Oh, look at that. Right out the gate, they're already taking fire from the Camel Shadow Bows, using fire ammunition. I don't know why. There's no real reason to use fire ammunition in this sort of situation. Looks like they're mostly just hitting the siege tower, not really doing anything to it. Yeah, now would be a good time to redirect their fire a little bit against these Uruk-hai crossbows. Yeah, there they go. They've turned off their fire ammunition. Now they're going to begin to scythe down these crossbows while they try and get desperately into position. Now there's a couple options for the Isengard player here. The crossbows do have decent armor. They could tank it for a while, and he could use this opportunity to shoot a whole bunch of units while they are still out here. Or he could move them over to the side, and he can wait for those missiles to be gone, and then move his crossbows back to where they were and be able to shoot unimpeded. I would be partial to the second one. It does take some patience, though, and naturally it's going to cost you a little bit of time when those crossbows may not get a second chance at some of the more juicier targets here, like those Shadow Guard, for example, or these Shadow Bows. That's what's going on here. It looks like the Elves have moved in with all of their skirmishing strength. They're now putting some indirect fire into, oh wow, the Javelins. Not a bad idea at all. The Javelins will be able to soak that up for quite some time. They've got multiple HP, and they have a shield as well. But the Javelins in a choke point, they are very, very deadly, so it's not a bad idea. And you can actually see them starting to lose a little bit of HP now, taking damage over time through that constant attrition, that very deadly, very accurate elven fire, despite the fact that they can't actually see their target. They somehow know they're there. And you can see models beginning to drop in a serious way. Yeah, another dead one right there, too. Now let's move down here. Isengard brought in all of the big guns. Got the Berserkers, got the Nazgai, and the Nazgai Bodyguard, who I love. I love these guys as a unit. I'm pretty sure that's custom done by the Third Age Reforged team. So well done to them. It's a fantastic unit. Very distinctive, very easily picked out on a battlefield as you would expect a general's unit to be. Moving on up here, you can see the Uruk-hai pikemen pushing hard against what remains of the Cyan Rim, finishing the conversation that they'd begun a little bit earlier downstairs. Backed up by the Dragon's Wrath Guildsmen. I don't know. Pikes can be weird. Pikes can sometimes win fights that you would never expect them to win, and they can lose fights that you would expect them to otherwise take very handily. So, I know, it's a little bit hit and miss. But in this case, I think the Pikes have the advantage just because they have the reach. They have so much reach over the Dragon's Wrath Guildsmen, they're just going to get poked to death before they can get anywhere near the front lines. Let's see what we got here. The Elves have not entirely moved in yet. I guess they have no real reason to. But the Dwarves are bringing up or not the Dwarves. The Isengarders are bringing up a Catapult, a full-strength Catapult, which I don't think has really done anything up until this point, except maybe, obviously, blow holes in this wall and damage this one. But Astute Fungus has wisely saved his ammunition for a decisive moment in the end. And as the defenders on Dol Guldur, one of the most important things that you can do as a defender in order to ensure a victory is to take out attacking artillery pieces or to make them expend all of their ammunition. And because if it goes into a late point in the game and that catapult is just firing into your defenses in the center, there's nothing you can do about it except try and kill it with missiles and things like that. But by that point, maybe the damage has already been done. Maybe you've lost and you don't already know it. Alright, we'll fast forward through this just a wee bit. Catapults slowly lumbering towards the front lines. Most of these units hiding trying to stay out of line of sight of the defending missiles. There's some shadow bows up there who are out of ammo, strangely enough. So the defenders seem to be running low on skirmishing power. They've got almost a full-strength unit of Ironfoot crossbows right here, but not a whole lot else. I think they've still got the Blacklocks, though. Oh, indeed they do. Oh, I can't wait to see these Blacklocks getting going. That's going to be a beautiful, beautiful sight. Let's see what these guys are doing. These runic Sapphire Bladesmen are ready to toss downwards, but I don't think they want to use their ammunition on units so beneath them, like the pikemen and so forth. Yeah, the runic units using their mass, using shield wall to counterattack these pikemen. You can see just what kind of difference that makes. Against the guildsmen and against the Scion Rim, who didn't have the numbers to push hard against the pikes were going to win that. They were going to win that easy, despite the fact that the guildsmen, in terms of stats, if you just compare the raw stats, the guildsmen should win easily. But now, with the addition of those Flag Rim, they have what they need to break up the pike formation, to push hard against them, and they're actually winning. They're pushing them way farther back down the hill than I think Isengard expected to be. Got some crossbows moving in over here. This is a good opportunity for those crossbows to get going. They could fire straight up into the javelins. They could fire into the middle of that blob there and turn the tide of the infantry fight. They've got a lot of options. Let's see here. Yeah, this is definitely a better use of their crossbows. Now that those camel shadow bows are out of ammunition, these crossbows can do pretty much whatever they like. And indeed they are going to. Oh man, look at that. Oh, the Sapphire Bladesman, definitely the target. That's going to rip right through their light shields and light armor. I would definitely be getting those guys out of there ASAP. Yeah, they need to be pulled back, certainly. They don't have a good firing, I want to say firing solution, but they're not a plane. They don't have good line of sight on these pikemen, so they're not going to do a lot of damage. And they're just exposing themselves to some withering crossbow fire. I mean, admittedly, the Ironfoot crossbows are going to be able to focus their fire down on the Uruk-hai and wipe them out quite quickly, but the damage has been done here. Well over half that unit is gone now. And this is an important unit. Especially in this final choke point where the enemy is going to be blobbed up like crazy. You can get a lot of value out of a single javelin unit in that sort of situation. So throwing their lives away like that, I think that's going to hurt their chances of winning. Let's see what we got up here. It looks like the elves have put themselves up on the ramparts. Not a bad idea. It's smart. A little bit better elevation. Might give them a better angle on some of the important skirmishers here, like the Blacklock Engineers. Or these Sapphire Bladesmen, who have just taken a beating. They were at like 84, and now they're down to less than 30. At least the Dwarves still have their crossbows. These Blacklock Engineers are going to be a very important unit to rely on. Those Ironfoot crossbows, they have wiped out the Uruk-hai crossbows and removed that threat from the field. Unfortunately, though, the runic front line is beginning to fall apart. Elves actually pushing back hard. That's pretty surprising. The elves don't really have high mass, so I'm surprised they can actually do this without getting just completely shut down. Now's the time to counterattack, I think. They've got lots of infantry up here. The Flag Rim, that would be a great... Well, maybe not against the Elven infantry, but against the Uruk-hai, not a bad pick. Maybe since there's no more crossbows, the addition of the Flag Rim and the Camel Shadow Guard counters both of these things at once. The Shadow Guard have high attack, like 40 attack, which makes them very good at cracking these elves, whereas the AP from both of those units is going to deal with those Uruk-hai pikemen quite efficiently. And the mass as well that the Flag Rim bring to bear. So it looks like the Flag Rim might be taking part in that at any time. These guys are just like kind of shifting around. Looks like they're using those as like shovels or they're trying to sweep or something. It's very strange. Oh man, the Sapphire Bladesmen just can't get a break. They're just being focus fired down. I mean, it sucks to lose them, but I would rather lose the Bladesmen than a unit like the Blacklocks. So if they're focusing on these guys and using that much ammo and actually losing a crossbow unit as well, because once that crossbow was up there to snipe these guys out, it did not go back down again. Maybe in terms of in terms of resources, that ends up being a win for the defenders, but still, it does suck to lose an elite javelin unit like this. So now the attackers are really going to commit. You can see a second wave of pikemen pushing in there to support the Hiri-Dirith and the other Uruk-hai pikes. Got some Hiri Bang now out of ammunition, probably going to get thrown into the front lines as well. Not a bad idea. Rather throw them in than your regular shock infantry like the Hiri Lang. All in all, it's looking tough for the attackers. Oh my goodness! Oh, that is beautiful. A beautiful, well-timed volley from Captain Douchebag into that catapult unit. It destroyed all three of them at once. That was amazing. That was perfectly executed, I have to say. I forgot they had the Dragon's Wrath crossbows as well. They've got a lot of skirmishing power left over. Maybe I was wrong. Of course, that has reminded everyone of the existence of those Dragon's Wrath crossbowmen, because if I forgot, it's entirely possible that somebody else did as well. But now the attackers, I'm sure, are not going to make the mistake of bunching up troops or sending in any elite units until they know that those crossbowmen are out of ammo. Although I say that, oh man, I kind of hope these Elder Royal Guard get sniped out. This is a big mistake. Those Dragon's Wrath crossbowmen, this is a big opportunity for them right here. Especially right now, they get both the units. Oh, please shoot. Oh no, unfortunately, it's a pipe dream not to be. I don't normally root for one side or the other, but I was really hoping that that misstep would get punished quite severely by Rhun. You know, I kind of like that. It's a good shot. Maybe we'll take a nice little screenshot here. We'll use that for our thumbnail. I think that would be beautiful. Camel Shadow Guard being committed to the fight. Great support unit, especially against these heavily armored pikes. The Hiri-Dirith have begun to run out of steam facing down these Flag Rim. And with these Camel Shadow Guard in there to support, like I said earlier, that's everything that these guys need to push back Isengard and inflict some serious casualties on the remaining Isengard chaff and the Hiri-Dirith. Let's see here. What are they going to throw in to try and stop them? Because that's a counter push that needs to be answered. What do we got in the back here? More crossbows, still firing down. Uruk-hai crossbows. I hope they're not still shooting at them. They're not really much of a threat anymore. As far as I can tell, they're actually getting more friendly fire than anything else. Oh, they're shooting at the catapult crew. Why? That's such a waste of ammo. The catapult crew can't do anything to you now. I think these crossbows may be an auto fire, and that is no bueno in this kind of situation. You want to conserve these guys, conserve that ammo for as long as possible. Oh, those Dragon Wrath crossbows. Are they going to shoot? I hope they don't shoot. That would be bad. They would wipe out their own front line if they did that. No, they appear to just be getting into position. Oh, here we go. Elder Royal Guard charging in. Maybe we're going to get that nice shot. If we do, that's going to be our thumbnail for sure. Blacklock's firing down into the Elder Royal Guard. Look at the damage they can do. That is severe. That is very severe. Blacklock's going for another shot. Oh, no. Stopping at the last moment. Trying to conserve their ammo. They already did a number on those Elder Royal Guard. Maybe they're just going to wait for these guys to commit. Berserker's going in there as well. I think there's also some Uruk-hai infantry. Let's find out. Ah, Nazgûl. This is... Oh, please. That is such a juicy target for those Dragon Wrath crossbows. They could annihilate a significant amount of Isengard killing power in just one fell swoop. I hope they take advantage of this. I'm going to wait. I bet you that they do. Captain Chaos has shown some good initiative and some good situational awareness. There were some lapses, but I think he's not going to miss this opportunity, not in the slightest. Airborne infantry pushing in support. Both sides funneling in their very tough elite units. Airborne infantry are good, but there's a lot of AP in that back line. May not be the best time to deploy them. Let's get right down there. That's some savage combat right there. You can see people falling on either side of the line. Although it does appear that Rhun and the Dwarves have the advantage. They're definitely pushing hard against the Isengarders and the Elves. Oh, come on. Do it. It's begging for it. No, there's Hiri Lang in there. Oh, come on. I'm going to fast forward there. Oh, come on. They're asking for it. Your infantry is going to run out of steam against these guys. Do it. Oh, that makes me sad. Well, let's take a quick look. Quick look at what the attackers still have remaining to them. They're funneling more troops in there. I mean, that's risky. That's real risky. Especially with what's waiting for them up there on the hilltop. Potential fiery death. Even if they lost everything there, they have a decent amount of troops left. I think Isengard still has a general's unit hanging out somewhere as well. One of the Isengard forces does in any case. I'm going to keep coming back there. I don't want to miss that. If they fire into that blob, it's going to be a beautiful little piece of destruction. Oh, maybe that's all. This is all they got left. It's not insignificant. There's some more over here as well. Oh, there's still a catapult left to go as well. Maybe that's what these guys are being saved for. Those Blacklocks firing down into this, that's going to be an ugly, ugly affair. Isengard and their allies pushing hard against the Dwarves. Oh, look at that. Look at the destruction that those guys just caused. That weird, like, noise that sounded like metal being hit really quickly. That is all the bodies being hit by the Blacklock engineers. Oh, and they're reloading. Come on, one more, baby. Just one more. Nope, not this time. I mean, it may be that the Dragon's Wrath crossbows are saving their ammo for the other catapult over there. That may be a higher priority for them, but this is just so much infantry. Oh, they could have blown them apart and still kept their front line intact. Because the Airborne infantry are starting to take some serious casualties. The rest of the running infantry has basically disappeared. Not very many of the Campbell Shadow Guard still in there. They could still have a healthy front line if only they had used on those Dragon's Wrath crossbows. But power of hindsight. I'm totally armchair generaling this, but I definitely would have used those fireballs on that blob of infantry. Look at this, the catapult lumbering forward. Isengard bringing in the rest of their elites. Let's see what happens to this catapult. Is it going to meet the same fate as its cousin over here? Perhaps. The Elves pouring more and more forces into the Our Blademasters. They won't do well against the Airborne infantry, not at all. Although the Airborne infantry, I think, will struggle to beat them as well with their high melee defense. What we got here? Ooh, this is dangerous. It would be very easy for a domino effect to come into play here, where these catapults just hit the catapult in front of each other and wipe out 2/3 of its firing power in just a few moments. Let's see what happens here. Ooh. Friendly fire, but it did blow a serious hole in their lines. Well, that's a lot of dead Airborne infantry. And as a result, they are going to be forced to commit more forces down there, which means more opportunities for that catapult to fire. So I would say that it's worth it, despite the friendly fire. Am I going to do another one? Oh, the rest of the catapults being very smart about this, not trying to fire over their friends here. One good shot, come on. Nope, it's a miss. Alright, let's fast forward through this a little bit. The Blacklock engineers opening fire. At this point, I don't even know if I would bother with the engineers. I think that this pike line is more than capable of dealing with everything else that they have left there. Send our Blademaster, things like that. Not a lot of high mass units. They can just push into the formation, and naturally there's going to be some Shadow Guard and things like that to support them as well. Oh, maybe they're not using their Blacklocks. No, they're not. They're just using the regular crossbows. Well, disregard that then. Another near miss by that catapult. Don't know how much ammunition it has left, but it is the last great hope to blow some serious holes in the defenders' lines and put a lot of pressure on them, because they've got a lot of stuff left over. They've got all of their elites, all of their really good elites. If it comes down to a fight on a hill between their elites and the attacking elites, I should say, and the defending elite corps, defender's gonna win that easy.
Half the enemy force remains.
Oh, what do we got here? Oh, that catapult's gonna stick his neck out. Let's see if he gets cut off by those Dragon's Wrath crossbowmen up there on top of the ramparts. Indeed, this appears to be what they have been saved for. Oh, I don't know if they're gonna get there in time. Oh, mostly friendly fire. Very unfortunate. Oh! Boom, baby! 2 out of 3 right there. Very ugly. One more. Is that going to be the end of the Isengard crossbow? Or Isengard's catapult? Nope. It is going to be enough to make them rethink their tactics, though, and pull that, that catapult back. Just a slow grind at this point. More and more forces moving in, trying to push their way through the defensive line. Ooh, one regular volley from those Dragon's Wrath crossbows into the exposed flank of the Hiri Bang and the Sindar Blademasters. That would cut this entire push down real fast. So I don't understand why they're not doing it. I'm not entirely 100% sure how the Dragon's Wrath crossbows work, but I think they have 2 kinds of ammunition that share different pools. So there's really no reason not to use the regular ammo on these Hiri Dirith and the rest of the forces in there, like Hiri Lang and Sindar Blademasters. Oh, catapult moving forward. They're just going to go for it. Dragon's Wrath crossbows. Overkill. Amusing. It looks like they're out of ammo. So maybe they do have a shared ammo pool, and that's what they were saving it for the entire time. I don't know if I would have used my last flaming ammo in that. I think that could have been cut down very easily by some of the skirmishers up here. Iron for crossbows, for example. The remaining Tribesman, Sapphire Bladesman. I think it could have been destroyed quite quickly, and then you would have been able to use that to punch a big hole in the attacking wave. But I won't criticize too much. I was being pushed back by these high mass units, the Airborne Infantry. Not the best fight for them. They're AP, and that's one of their big advantages, and it doesn't really count for too much against the Elves. But I guess there's not a whole lot left that they can really fall back on, is there? Ooh, I don't know what that was all about. Oh, the Uruk bombers! I forgot about these guys. That's gonna be a serious problem. Once the defenders run out of ammo, I mean, those Uruk bombers are going to be free to do as they please. Which is a scary thing to have happen to you. Let's get right in there, enjoy the carnage. I think that would be the Runic General. Possibly in the Dragon's Wrath crossbow unit. Ah, would you look at that, the Elder Palace Guard being committed to the fight. I think there's still some Blacklocks around, though. Whoa, that would be real ugly. What are they doing? What's that golden thing? Weird. Oh, that's underneath their little gown. This Blacklocks now positioning themselves up on the ridge. Oh my goodness, that's going to be ugly for those Elder Palace Guard. The Elder Palace Guard, like Sindar Blademasters, are very weak to missiles. Most of their defense being their melee defense. So I think we could see these guys start to drop really quickly. And they're very powerful too. These guys win games. One more good shot. Come on, Blacklocks. Ooh, that's nasty. Even the Palace Guard and their multiple HP can't stand up to that for very long. They've got like 7 or 6 HP, something like that. The most HP in the game, as far as I understand, for a non-troll unit. but they will get cut down like nobody's business. The sustained missile fire. One more good shot. Come on. Ooh, that's nasty. It's real nasty. Is Nazgai now asking for it too? I would definitely put a shot or two into these Nazgai. They're definitely a threat. There's a lot more of them than there are the Palace Guard. The Palace Guard have taken a lot of HP damage and lost a significant number of models at this point. And there's still a lot of troops left that they could be used to shut them down. The Dragonslayers of Ered for example, at this point in the game would trade reasonably well with 29 or so Palace Guard, especially backed up by all these other things like the Sons of the Fallen. Let's see, Isengard moving in. This is the Spartan with more chaff. Surprisingly enough, he had a little unit of pocket pike somewhere. That's going to be really useful for pushing through here. Let's go ahead and let's speed it up just a little bit. Isengard are slowly trickling in instead of going in formation. That could result in some very easy and unfortunate early deaths. They're going to try and push where the Dwarven infantry is thickest. Over here, the Palace Guard have managed to open up a hole in the defending lines. Now would be a good time to countercharge, I think, with the Camels Chosen or with something. I don't know what they're waiting for. Maybe they're waiting just until they run out of missiles. Maybe they want these guys to expose their flank a little bit more, but I see no reason to wait at this point. Ooh, a nice charge there from the Camels Chosen into the Nazgai bodyguard. I think the Camels Chosen, I think they lose to the Nazgai quite significantly, because the Nazgai have a lot of HP, like 4 or something like that, and their AP. More of those Camels Chosen moving in there. It says defeat is certain, but I don't know. Maybe with some support, they'll be able to drive these guys back. But the defenders really on their last legs at this point, having to commit their most elite units to hold back the relentless tide of attackers. Let's get right in there. Let's enjoy this. Something you don't see every day. Palace Guard fighting alongside Nazgai. Easterlings holding their ground reasonably well, but they are taking a lot of damage, more than you would expect from the Camels Chosen. I think these guys now have 3 HP. I could be wrong about that. But they are very strong, and they're AP as well. So it's a decent match for the Nazgai, who rely very heavily on their armor. Oh, goodness. Oh, some stray bombs from the Uruk bombers down on the rampart going to claim the lives of about 6 or 7 of the Dragonslayers of Ered. The attackers are really throwing in everything they've got at this point. Still some elites left, but the Elves are fully in. Most of the other Isengard players fully in there as well. Still got some elites to fall back on in the form of the Nazgai bodyguard and some Nazgai. If he keeps those as like pocket units till well into the end of the game, like when we get to like the 60,000 or so mark, that could be a problem for the defenders. I don't think they'd have any answer to that at this point. They're looking really exhausted. Oh my god, those Camels Chosen just getting massacred by the Nazgai. Iron for Crossbows getting taken out by the Uruk bombers. What do we got back here? A few crossbows. Not very many of the crossbowmen still left. Firing into the flanks of those Nazgai and the pikemen. It's just a slow grind, but honestly, I think that the attackers have managed to regain the advantage here. That push by the Nazgai bodyguard rather, backed up with Palace Guard. It was ugly, and it's borne a lot of fruit for them so far. They've pushed back the defenders. They're now off the hill and fighting on equal grounds. This is a problem. The defenders needed that hill. They needed to be able to stay in that position to get that advantage over the superior numbers of the attackers. Go ahead and let's fast forward just a little bit. Guards of the Uruk pouring in. Elite Spearmen not going to be quite easily killed. Very good at holding an enemy and wearing them down. Still yet more to come, though. 2 more units of Nazgai and another unit of Guards of the Uruk. It's looking grim. Very grim, my friends. On the Dwarven, at this point, I think it's safe to call it the Dwarven left, because there's almost nothing left of Rhun. On the Dwarven left, They appear to be doing reasonably well. The Nazgai up here on this flat piece of ground could prove to be a problem as these dwarves push farther and farther down the hill. They may find themselves surrounded, but they do appear to be winning. And now a double push here from some pretty strong dwarven units. Got some of the Mithril Guard pushing at the same time as the Guards of Khazad-dûm are pushing on the left. And now it's Isengard's turn to be driven back. Look at that. The mass of the dwarves at work. Somehow the Isengard general getting caught by some of the Mithril Guard and getting hacked down. I think he actually got killed by a dwarven general. Not a bad way to go. General versus general. I don't know if the defenders have what it takes at this point to beat down what's remaining. Let's go ahead and let's fast forward just a little bit more. The Berserkers, the Nazgai, the Pikes have just been bisected at this point. But as the dwarves begin to move forward, they do run the risk of being surrounded. Isengard's got a lot of numbers left. Something's randomly bursting into flames. I think it's probably the Uruk bombers trying to do something useful. Yeah, except now they are routed and broken, so they're going to flee from the battle. Another unit of them right there, looking like they're out of ammo, fighting against the Guards of Khazad-dûm on the front line.
Good news. Curses! Our men no longer command the castle.
It's a pretty good-looking push from the dwarves, but they're surrounded. Look at this. There's pikemen and I think berserkers, maybe even some Nazgai bodyguard up there as well. And the dwarves push ever onwards, stubbornly, into the ranks of Isengard. They're going to get themselves surrounded. Yeah, look at this. They are not in a good spot here. Now the other unit of Nazgai moving in, the fresh unit of Nazgai. General's bodyguard in a good position. I think this is gonna spell the end of the dwarves. I don't know. Maybe if they held their shield wall a little bit farther up there near the top of the ramp, maybe they could have won. That's a big maybe though, with all these Nazgai in the field. But instead, the dwarves are just going to go for a glorious charge straight into the heart of the enemy army, bull rushing the general's bodyguard, trying to kill their leader. You can see the dwarven leader Dane himself with that distinctive red beard, pushing forward. Looks like they're trying to break out of that encirclement, but I think it's a little bit too late now. All those units from that were left up top have now circled around back behind the dwarves and are cutting them down. The Guards of Khazad-dûm and the Mithril Guard very quickly running out of steam. I think at this point it's fair to say that that's all she wrote for the defenders, but damn did they put up a good fight. It's hard to point out what they could have done to win this without saying things that I've already said, but they put up a great fight. Especially outnumbered like this against all these elite units. I mean, look what they did. It's just a boneyard up there at the top of the ramp. And fighting, just going back and forth, this epic kind of tug of war, pushing each other farther up or farther back down. I love it. Defenders did a wonderful job this time around. Remains of the Mithril Guard, stubbornly fighting to the finish. Pretty sure there's nothing left of Rhun. It's just these Mithril Guards. So let's fast forward that. Put it on 6 times. Come on. There goes the Dwarves General. Well, that's pretty much it. And there you have it. A very close defeat for the defenders. Look at those kills. 7,000 of the attackers came to Dol Guldur today and lost their heads. What small units remain will have to garrison this against what I assume will be an inevitable counterattack from the Dwarves and from Rhun, who are both geographically not very far removed from Dol Guldur and the southern reaches of Mirkwood. They could reinforce that quite easily. So that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed. I'll take a look at some of the casualties there. We'll scroll through them, and you guys can go back in your own time, take a look at them. Oh, some of those crossbows, though. Look at that. That's so valuable crossbows are. That's what I've been saying the whole time. But that's it for me. I hope you guys enjoyed. Coming up next, It's going to be 12-12. I got a ton of 12-12 replays from Blood Magpie, which, if you guys haven't seen his stuff before, really good. He always sends me in some top-quality violence. So big thank you to him for supporting the channel as well. And yeah, that's it. So I'll see you guys in our next few replays, and then we're going to be going into Immortal Empires campaign. The faction poll for that should already be out, so you guys should be voting on what you guys want to see. But in any case, my name is Jordan, also known as JMonster, and I'll see you guys next time. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.